Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, along with Judge Jeanine Pirro, Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Waters, and she once went skinny dipping in a cereal bowl with Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Crackle.
Dana Perino. 13 days to go in the razor-tight race that could go either way has the Democrats popping Xanax like candy. The latest Real Clear Politics average shows Kamala and Trump locked in a dead heat. But headline after headline shows one side is freaking the bleep out. CNN claims that a jittery Harris campaign makes big plans to clinch a narrow win. Politico says the clock is ticking. And there's, quote, ominous signs that Kamala Harris's blue wall is collapsing. Making matters worse for Harris, she's talking to the press. Harris bumbling her way through 2 interviews that she took all day to prepare for.
And there's nobody, no Democrat, talking about pathway to citizenship, an immigration relief, and the benefits that migrants bring to this country.
Oh, but there's no question that migrants bring. America is a country that was built in part by immigrants. My plans will strengthen America's economy.
Former President Trump leads you on this issue.
Well, when I'm out, this is why I'm going out to Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Yeah. Excuse me. Just got in late this morning, actually.
That's reassuring. Kamala also shoveling up this load of crap about Joe Biden being capable of the presidency.
Can you say that you were honest with the American people about what you saw in those moments with President Biden?
Of course.
You never saw anything like what happened at the debate night behind closed doors with him?
It was a bad debate.
That's the reason why you're here, and he's not running for the top of the ticket.
Well, you'd have to ask him if that's the only reason why.
Can the American people trust you in these moments, even when it's maybe uncomfortable for Americans to level with Americans in that way?
I speak with not only sincerity, but with a real firsthand account of watching him do this work.
Wow, that was hard to watch, Harold, unlike you. That response to the question about Biden's decline and her awareness of it, and she says he was capable in every measure. So I'm giving you 3 options. Is Harris stupid? Is she lying? Or is she drunk? You only get to pick one.
If do I get a default, all of the above? I mean, I think she was none of those things. I think that she was, look, good to be back around the table. Those questions are ones that are uncomfortable for her.
But she knows they're coming.
Well, she does, and she probably should have a clear answer. I think the question about migrants offering benefits to our country, we're all migrants in this country, and you could have gone back and talked about that, and so we now got to protect our borders.
I'm not.
Because
I was born here. Sorry. Dana, are you a migrant?
We're immigrants.
No.
We're all
Under that
immigrants.
definition.
We're all immigrants. At some point, the only people that were not
I'm not an immigrant.
My people got brought here by force, but it's another conversation.
Okay,
the character, but
my people too.
Yeah. You're 0.1%. So what I think she's trying to do here at the end, and it's going to be interesting to see what works. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Her end and close is character. And that's what she's trying to present with a lot of the former staffers of President Trump who are out making claims about what he was like to work with and work for. And people have an opportunity to hear that and see if it's believable. And President Trump is out talking about performance and talking about the economy and border security. And I think voters, for those who are undecided, this is kind of the gut check moment. I think the thing that the clips you showed, Greg, are fair clips to show that the questions are not being answered as you want. I think it's fair for Democrats to talk about Republicans that are supporting her, and I think it's fair for her to talk about the things that she doesn't like or had disagreement with President Trump about how he served, and even shortly after the election. And over the next 13 days, as early voting continues to make records in a lot of these states, we're going to get a chance to see who people believe. Is it character? Is it performance? Is it a combination? Or is it neither of those things? And voters will make that determination. It's the great thing about our country.
So I'm going to put that down as drunk. Jesse, so Harold frames this as character versus performance. But how can she run under this label of character when she's being accused of probably the biggest plagiarism of any politician? I mean, this would sink even your career.
Not mine.
But you've seen the latest. I mean, this stuff should be leading every network.
Well, they're not going to touch it, and they just want to talk about Trump. I wouldn't close with character. That's not going to win your election.
I don't just.
She just looks like an obsessive stalker. We've now entered stalker territory with her. All she does is talk about Trump. She's looking backwards. She's focused on Trump instead of looking to tomorrow, talking about Kamala Harris, because everybody still's wondering about her. She never gives anybody a hint. You look at her economic agenda, it's like when you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu and you're like, what is this place? Nothing looks good. It's all confusing. And then your friends ask you what you had the night before, and you're like, don't even remember. You're like, was it veal? I just know it was expensive. And then she's asked the same question every time. Did you see anything from Joe Biden that concerned you? Whatever she says, she's going to come off as a liar. If she says she saw something, well, she never told us she saw something, so she's part of the cover-up. And if she says she never saw anything, no one believes that, because obviously everybody saw that, so she's a liar. She's two-faced on Telemundo. A month ago, she was at the border saying she's going to get tough, and now she's saying, oh, yes, amnesty for everybody. Donald Trump is closing with positive vibes. He's doing MSG. He did Gutfeld. He's in barbershops. He's at football games. He's doing Rogan. These are the types of things that break through. She's closing in this kind of sad, traditional way. 60 Minutes, The View, Brett Baier. And those interviews are bombing.
Brett's
Wow,
not
Those are traditional interviews. And the energy coming out of those have all been negative. And her surrogates are sticking their foot in their mouths. Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. All of the Democrats in these battleground states are running away from her towards him. The early enthusiasm, the early vote, remember Republicans were upset. They're like, I don't know, they farmed out all these ground game operations to outside the campaign. There's huge enthusiasm coming out here. I'm not saying it's over. I mean, I think, what was it, 2012? They had Superstorm Sandy. Mm-hmm. Romney was tied. All of a sudden, Barack parachutes in with the bomber jacket and the logo, hugs Christie. Romney looks out of touch, and he loses the election. So anything could happen, but Trump has momentum.
I like your the menu at a restaurant, like her economic agenda as a menu. One page would be for only blacks. The other page would be for Mexicans. Mexican would have family style. Yeah. Blacks, just weed. And some crypto. You can pay with crypto. Dana, it seems to me that either she's too lazy or too cocky to come up with an answer for something she knows is coming. And you know there is an answer to that question. You're in this business. If she says, when did you know Joe Biden was in mental decline and why didn't you say anything about it? You know there's an answer.
And she knows that there is the truth.
Yeah.
And then there's the fact that she can't and won't. Mm-hmm. Part of it is out of loyalty, and the other thing is because she can't and won't. They took the entire day off yesterday to prepare for 2 interviews. And you still end up with headlines like this. And I think at this point, no one is coming to save you. You know, no one is going to win this for you. Trump isn't even going to win this for you. Like, you yourself, if you're advising her, you say, ma'am, you have to do this yourself. You have to do something, and it's getting late really quickly. She's going to Texas tomorrow. Now, I understand why President Trump is going to Texas. He's doing the Joe Rogan interview. That seems to make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. She's going to Texas. Why? Well, Friday, excuse me. So it feels like Thursday in my ear. I have my little angel. There are a bunch of really rich people who think that they can do all this fundraising and get Colin Allred, the congressman, to beat Ted Cruz in the Senate race. And they would love nothing more than to beat Ted Cruz. The thing is, she's not, or her campaign's not strong enough to say, no, rich people, I'm not going to spend an entire day in Texas to chase down your fantasy of beating Ted Cruz, because it's not going to work. She should be in Michigan today. Even Johnny is in Michigan today.
Yes.
Even Johnny.
Johnny, yeah.
And he says Michigan looks like Trump country.
Tell him to drink the water. Judge, do you think that Kamala is just relying on the media for an opposition dump, which we're seeing now every day. They're going to dump something. Somebody said this. They don't actually have tape, but somebody said this about somebody else, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you know, it was interesting when I think it was at Ethel Kennedy's funeral.
It's
when
Ethel.
they had.
Don't you remember? Jeff?
Yeah, Ethel. Yeah, Ethel Kennedy. Where the lip readers said that, you know, Joe Biden says something like, I could do better, and Obama says we still have time. Well, you know what? Right now, there are 13 days left. And Harold, with all due respect, you know, she may be uncomfortable with certain questions, but the presidency is about kind of rolling with whatever question comes at you. And she has already proven to the American people that she is incapable of articulating, number one, how she would be different from Joe Biden, other than to say, I'm not Joe Biden. And she cannot articulate what we all saw, which is that Joe Biden is a disaster. And why isn't anybody talking about the 25th Amendment now, which I find incredible that this guy is still running the country. But she is going to end on a negative note. She's going to end on the Hitler note. She's going to end on the threats to democracy note, when in truth, she started as this joy candidate, and it's so bad right now, she's in the darkness, in the sense that the American people, who know they're worse off than they were 4 years ago, a question she's not able to answer, who know 79% of them that the country's going in the wrong direction, they can't even get empathy from this woman. They can't even get, you know what, Bill Clinton, I feel your pain. We're going to make it better for you. I understand. If all she's closing with, he's Hitler, and this guy is creative enough, is smart enough, and malleable enough to go to McDonald's. I think he got 300 million hits on TikTok on McDonald's. I mean, the guy can roll with it. She cannot. And that's why people are saying, you know, that she is incapable at this point of doing anything that can benefit her. And remember, and I'll end on this, there was the Obama people, the Biden people, and the Kamala Harris people. Who was going to run the campaign? They were all fighting about it. I don't know who's running it, but they're basically saying it's like a first-time congressional campaign. It's a mess.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.